This is Amplify You, the podcast about you discovering your message and broadcasting it to the world. If you're a coach, author, or speaker, you'll want to tune in. If you're looking for the best return on your time investment to get your message out to the world in a bigger way, we're giving you full access and behind the scenes look of how we're running our podcast, how our clients have found success, and what you can do to launch your podcast today. The world needs your message. I'm Michelle Abraham, the host. Join my family as we unleash your unique genius and find the connections you need to launch your adventure today. Join us and let's get amplified. Hello, Amplify You family. Michelle Abraham, your host here today. I am so excited because I have a wonderful guest for our Behind the Mic interview for you. Today, I have Monica Ramirez from Soul Talk podcast, and I'm so excited to dive in to hear the background and the story and the journey of how she launched her podcast. Because when we joined Monica on her podcasting journey, she already had an amazing YouTube channel with tons of episodes on it. So we were so lucky we were being able to help her relaunch our show into the podcasting space. But it was already an existing show. So I'm excited to hear the background story of how it all started and what her show's all about. So, hey, Monica, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you doing? Hey, everybody. How's everybody?
We're good. So let's dive right in. Soul Talk. So this is a pretty powerful show. It's got some really interesting content. You've been doing it for quite a while. So take us back to what made you get started. What inspired you to start your show?
Well, I became a Transformational Belief Coach in about 6 years ago. And I started working with people, and once in a while, I'm a channeler too. So I start channeling messages and I start putting videos in my YouTube first. And it became very lonely in the 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all in lockdown, and I was missing that interaction with people and having these interesting conversations with also with all my colleagues. And there were psychics, healers, coaches, entrepreneurs, interesting people, artists also, because I am an artist. And that's when I started, some of them, we start having conversations in Zoom. And I thought they were very, very interesting, the conversations that we were having. And it's like, oh, how about if I upload this conversation to YouTube? And that's how I actually started.
That's awesome. Did you have intentions of it becoming a podcast one day, or it was just meant for YouTube initially?
At the beginning, I did not know what I was doing. I was just sharing the conversations with them.
Mm-hmm.
And even the first shows when I edit, that I had to learn how to edit.
Yeah, you did.
No clue how to edit in that time, a video or anything. I was like,
now you're a pro at it.
Better. Not pro, but better every day. So at the beginning, when I was start doing that, I did not knew where to go or how to do that. So I did not plan it to go farther away with a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And just slowly start transforming into, we start having viewers, we start asking, I start getting questions. And I believe about a year ago or something like that, I met you and I met Evans. And it's like, oh, can be a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, at that time, I was already editing and I was already calling it Soul Talk. And I was already interviewing artists. That in that time, I have two separate podcasts. In that time, it was the heart of the artist for the artist, and Soul Talk for the coaches, healers, and entrepreneurs. And but then I realized that it was 2 days, and it was taking too much of my time from my coaching and my classes that I've been teaching and so forth. So I just put it all in one, and it was easier for me to start that.
What do you hope your listeners get by listening to your show?
I always try to give them the information that I think they're needing, or because my clients, they've been asking me what is channeling, or what it is healing, or how do you heal with this modality? Or sometimes I have even the same question when the people I'm interviewing. How do you do that modality? How is that working for you? How is this, if this works with this? Like I had very interesting conversations. And sometimes I do try to when I see something, I always gonna ask my inner questions with my list with my speakers, or sometimes I get the list. Hey, can you ask them this or you ask them that?
Mm,
And that's what I'm trying to always answer those questions between my questions to them. At the
mhm,
beginning, it was more structured. It was more I make the questions and I follow the script because I did not want to do mistakes. I did not knew what I was doing.
mhm, mhm.
But it was too rigid because it came more questions that doesn't have to do with that or they are already answered. So it
Right.
was ridiculous to ask them again.
Yeah, when you're like so focused on those questions you have prepared, you cannot like almost don't hear the answers. I know that was my experience. Not sure if you had the same experience, but it's kind of nice to have a more casual conversation. And so when you're interviewing other people, are they your colleagues? Are they your clients? Or the other healers and coaches, they are people, where are you meeting your guests?
I have interviewed some of my clients and I have interviewed many coaches too,
Mhm.
many healers too. And I do also upload my channel message once in a while too, that because they're strongly telling me, okay, you need to talk about self-worth or how to love yourself or how to transform this or you're worthy or things like that.
Mhm.
And those are the ones that I've been also uploading in my podcast.
Mm, those are great. And so I love that you're getting feedback from your listeners on YouTube, so that they can ask questions too. That's a really great way to interact with your audience. What has there been any other surprises since starting your show, that things have come about from your show that you didn't expect at the beginning?
Oh yes, the reviews. That was one of
Mm,
the big ones because I did not knew about the reviews. You put it
mhm.
in YouTube and you get likes, subscribers, and that's what I thought. That's it.
Yeah.
I was not planning to even to do money from it.
Mhm.
Yes, with time, I came to understand that wow, okay, this is costing me. Filmora cost me monthly, Zoom cost me monthly,
Mhm.
Canva cost me monthly, etc., etc. There are many costs involved in that, and it's like okay, I am not making money from it, so I
Mhm.
need to figure it out a way that I actually can at least pay the all the apps from it,
Mhm.
and I need reviews. How the people are gonna know if they want to even participate to be my guests
Mhm.
if they don't see reviews. So that
Yeah.
was a big one for me, and those were uh, learning lessons that I've been changing and modifying
Yeah.
things. So you
Getting
can,
reviews. So Amplify You audience, I'm challenging you to go and give Monica's Soul Talk podcast a review right now. Give her some love. If you go on over there and say that you heard her on the Amplify You podcast and you started listening to her show, give her a great review. That would be awesome. So we love sharing the message of other shows on our show so people can discover new shows, because surprisingly enough, with all the technology we have, word of mouth is still the number one way podcasts are discovered. Isn't that crazy?
yes, it is.
Yeah, with all you think with all the ads and the technology and everything that there'd be a better way to get discovered than just word of mouth, but it really is still word of mouth. So cool. So I would love so I'd love to hear what you have, any suggestions for podcasts. There's a lot of our audience maybe haven't started their podcast yet. They've been thinking about it. They want to do one. They maybe haven't started yet. Any words of advice from someone that's now gone through that process and launched their show? Any words of advice or things that you would do differently?
Well, one of the things that I even interview people and they have never been in camera, they've never been in a
Mm,
podcast, and they're so afraid, like, what I should wear, what should do. It's like, don't even worry. Take it like this is a conversation with another friend.
mm-hmm.
I bet everybody at this point, they had a Zoom conversation with someone.
Right.
So just relax, have that conversation with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're so afraid to do something, just jump in. And yes, you might be modifying with the future. It might get better in the future. Believe me, my first podcast, I was so nervous. I was following the script, like I told you. And later on, it just become more relaxed. And I don't even have a script anymore. I do have the bio. I do read the bio to know who I'm interviewing
Mm-hmm.
and what questions are popping in my head. So like that, I can ask them. But it would take the pressure out that it has to be perfect we're not professionals, or else we might be hired by a TV, and we were
Yeah.
already there. But because we're not there in podcast, it is way more relaxed that you are working for a radio station or a TV station. And
Mhm.
this is your business. You're your own boss.
Mhm.
So if you do mistakes, you learn from them and you try to modify them. But don't be so afraid that don't be type A when you're trying to do a
Mm.
podcast.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion because we try to do it so perfectly. We want it to come out so good and polished, and I think when we want it to be so polished and professional that we can't be ourselves, right? Or we can't joke around or make mistakes or kick the desk or something knocks over and like, oh gosh, we have to edit all that out. So I love your advices to just be you and just be yourself and to get going on it for sure. I know I certainly waited way too long to launch my show. And I think, have you felt like there's a lot more confidence that comes from being in podcasting? The more you do it, the more you speak your message, the clearer it gets.
Yes, at the beginning, like I mentioned, it was very nervous. Oh my God, today I'm gonna be recording, and everybody is stressed out in the house. And not only me, my kids, everybody was stressing out. Don't make noise. Oh, the dog is gonna bark. Oh, like the car is gonna do something. But now it is mistakes are gonna happen. Someone might knock on the door. The dog might bark. Things might happen in my side or in the other side of the people
Yeah.
interviewing. And I have those interviews that the dog continue barks.
Yeah, and as you're saying that, I can see my daughter running across the deck, and I'm like, "Oh no, she's gonna come in. She doesn't know I'm recording." That's okay. That's what a pause button is for. Uh,
We're working from home. Those things are going to happen.
yeah,
And we relax.
yeah, exactly. And look how relaxed you are now. I mean, so it's fun, right? It's like a fun interview. One of the things I'd love for you to address is that I've had all sorts of people who want to get into podcasting, but they're afraid because they don't have English as a first language. And they're afraid that they can't do it. Can you kind of talk to that? Because I know Spanish is your first language.
That was a big one for me in many levels, in many ways, in
Mhm.
writing and speaking and so forth. My first language is Spanish. I was raised in Mexico,
Mhm.
and I've been living in the United States for 23 years.
Mhm.
And at home, with my parents, we always spoke in Spanish. In fact, with my siblings, it's only spoken Spanish. But but it was a learning process even to open a business in the United States and start speaking in English. I
Mhm.
did tons of mistakes, of course, and I still do. And my grammar is not perfect in writing or in speaking. But the only way you're gonna learn a language is if you practice it.
Mhm.
And losing the fear that you're gonna do mistakes, and people appreciate that at least you're trying to speak their language.
Mhm.
And that goes from English to trying to speak in Spanish or French or Italian. It doesn't matter which language you're talking about. Just practice it and do mistakes. You learn from them.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's interesting also, I've heard from other people, it's a breath of fresh air to hear another accent on a podcast rather than just a Canadian or American accent. So it's nice to hear other kinds of accents as well. I think it gives people, it's different in your ears. So it's nice to have a variety of different voices coming through on podcasts.
And something that I was very terrifying for me is maybe I forgot the word, saying the correct word. Well, I was going around, so because I forgot the word, exactly that word. So I just go around, and everybody can do that in any language too. So
Hmm.
just go around and you do mistakes. People who have patience.
Yeah, and it blows my mind because a lot of people that speak English for a second language speak English much better than I do, and it's my first language. So nobody's perfect, right? We all say funny things or make mistakes. So I think that's great, and I think you're so brave to be able to do that in a language that's not your native language, and I think that the confidence that comes from it too. I'm sure practicing it, I'm sure you found that you've got more and more confident. And if I can share with our audience that you and I were just recently together in person, which was super fun. We got to go to Boston to Harvard to do the Blue Talks, which is Business Life Universe Talk, kind of like TED Talks, but it's called Blue Talks. And it was so much fun. And it's really I admire you, Monica, for getting out there and speaking publicly and doing podcasts and things like that. And it was really fun it was fun to get to meet you in person. So that was cool. You'll also have to look out for our talks that will be coming out on Blue Talks YouTube channel and on their podcast soon.
Yes.
Yeah, it was awesome. Now you're planning on doing another one soon, aren't you?
In Miami in November. I'm going
Ooh,
for Blue
so
Talks too.
fun. Yes, that's great. And I heard another one of our podcasters, Jenny, is going to be there too. So that's awesome. So much fun. It's great to travel around to speak and to be able to share our message in so many different places in the world. So, so awesome. And so, Monica, thank you so much for joining us today on the Amplify You Behind the Mic episode. We've gotten to learn a little bit more. Before I let you go, though, we want to connect your podcast to your business and how do you help your clients in your business?
Yes, I created a while back a program, the Transformational Program called Path to the Heart, and it goes in 3 levels. The first level, it is for getting out of your victimhood, letting go of shame, blame, guilt, fears, and so forth. I work with fears with my clients, so I have to apply it for myself. And the second
You're a
one,
good role model for that.
in the second level, it is more about past lives, cleaning family lineage, removing entities, etc. And the third one, it is one of my favorites, is the channeling.
Mm,
I teach different kinds of channeling, psychic, and developing psychic powers too, like telepathy, etc., and things like that. And I give a certificate for my program when they take the three levels. And I'm writing the books actually. I just sent one to Kelly, to my book number 1 yesterday,
mhm,
for level 1. And I work with groups and I work with in one-on-one, but podcasting, it is part of it.
mhm,
And as public speaking is part of it. If we want to actually send the message farther away, that only for a few people that they sign up with us or they find us, there's more
mhm,
ways they can find us through podcasting, through our books, through our public speaking, to everything that we are.
mhm, absolutely. And you're an amazing artist as well. Can you share a little bit about that too?
Yes. I moved one of my paintings. Yes, I've been painting for close to 45 years now.
Wow.
I my work all around the world. I have paintings in Europe. I have paintings in Mexico and in United States, all over United States. I have not exhibited in Canada yet, but I do, and I've been teaching also art classes for 23 years to kids, adults, and people with disabilities,
Cool.
blind people, cerebral palsy, etc.
Wow, that's fantastic. Very cool. And so can you lead us to the website where we can find out all this more information about you?
Yes, it is Monica Ramirez, warrioroflove.com.
Great. So that's pretty easy to spell and send out, but we'll put it in the show notes for you as well. And it's Monica with a C. So make sure you guys get that right as well. Awesome. So it's Monica Ramirez, warrioroflove.com.
Yes.
Perfect. I love it. I love the name of that too. And make sure you head on over to Soul Talk and make sure you give Monica a lovely review of her podcast so that she can spread the word and spread her message far and wide. Monica, thank you so much for joining us on Amplify You today. It's been so much fun getting to chat with you.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome. All right, Amplify You family, go out there and have a fabulous week. We'll see you here, same time, same place next week.